Hello, I'm Pam Carruthers of healingstars.com. This is the chart. It's the full moon, 18th of May, and it's set for London, and that occurs at 22:11 British Summer Time. I'm using the colours, the colour wheel, to indicate where planets are, to give you a reference to month by month. So a full moon is always when the moon is opposite the sun. So here is the sun, Taurus, soon to be moving into Gemini, and Mercury is very close by, opposite the moon, 27 degrees of Scorpio. Now, it's a very interesting chart because Mars has just moved into Cancer. Here it is, 1 degree Cancer up here, and this is almost exactly the same place that the sun will be at the summer solstice. So we're getting like a hint of what's to come in a month's time. Venus, that governs, rules the Sun and Mercury, is now in her own sign, her home sign of Taurus, and just passed by Uranus. Now, Uranus and Venus together are kind of like an Aquarian mix. Very different, unusual, rebellious, independent, and making a very powerful, good connection to Mars. So Mars and Venus are working well together at this full moon. Scorpio is traditionally ruled by Mars. It's also modern Pluto, and we can't get away from it. Saturn, South Node, Pluto are all incredibly close together. But at this full moon, notice there's a really nice trine, flow of energy from that Sun Mercury across to the Capricorn planets. And Neptune is also in a very good relationship to the nodes, the North Node especially. So there's a lot of blue in this, and blue energy is always about trines or flow of energy or sextile. It's basically when planets are in elements that combine well, and water combines very well with earth. That's the nature of things. Jupiter. Jupiter is rising for the UK at 22 Sag, it's retrograde, and notice it's forming this very tight, square, challenging aspect to Neptune. And because Jupiter's moving retrograde at the moment, as seen from Earth, that becomes exact, and interestingly enough, just at the summer solstice on June 21st. Now, both Neptune and Jupiter are to do, well, Neptune's the god of the sea, Jupiter's the god of the sky. In mythology, they're brothers. But we can feel overwhelmed by Neptune in Pisces. We can fall into sacrifice patterns and being the martyr, feeling sorry for ourselves. It's very, very emotional, but it's also the potential for very deep healing. And you know the song Van Morrison, Into the Mystic. It's also the whale. Here's a whale, the amazing sea mammal, which connects to the Akashic records. There's a lot of interesting stories here. Coming back to Mercury and the Sun. Now they're very close to a fixed star called Algol, which you might have heard of. It's the head of Medusa, and there are lots of myths about Medusa. Most of them not very nice, I have to say. You know, she's a gorgon with snakes for her hair, and she can turn men to stone. And notice, men to stone, not women. Interesting. Now, Ovid says she was a ravishing, beautiful woman, a maiden, and she was raped by Poseidon in Athena's temple. She was pregnant, and because of this, Perseus actually did manage to kill her. He cut off her head, and apparently out of her body sprung Pegasus, the winged horse. Now that head was then given to the goddess Athena, and she placed it on her shield. So this is a very interesting story about the feminine rage, how the feminine was demonized, but you could also relate it to things such as Kundalini. And on another note, Mercury and the Sun are actually travelling through the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters, a very beautiful part of the sky, that constellation. And it's interesting in Vedic astrology, it's called Kritika. And Kritika is, the symbol is a knife, and basically it connects to Agni, fire. And with Mars in Cancer, which is very much about family, home, but also it's a cardinal sign, which means initiation. I'm looking at this very interestingly, this full moon. So perhaps, letting go of old rubbish is another indicator of where Mars is in Vedic astrology. It's a lunar mansion called Ardra. New growth by the elimination of old rubbish. So that's letting go. And the aspect in Western astrology, that dotted green line, and that's the North Node there to Jupiter, and across there to the Sun, Mercury, we need to let go of what? Well, Jupiter is about our beliefs. And the negative of Sagittarius, I've said it many times, can be self-righteousness. I'm right, you're wrong. And of course, that dogmatic attitude doesn't get you anywhere. The whole phrase is, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? You might want to consider on Saturday a fire ceremony, literally letting go of rubbish, whatever that is that has a negative association for you. But also just letting things go, taking things to charity shops, clearing out stuff, and paving the way for a different energy which is going to start as soon as the Sun moves into Gemini. Anything else to tell you about at this point? I think it's worth looking at the story of Medusa on Wikipedia. There's a lot of information there, and it also relates to Lilith, the first wife of Adam. Lilith refused to lie underneath Adam, and as such she was banished, and then she was blamed for all the ills of the world. It's the negative feminine energy here. But I want you to embrace the positive energy of Venus and Uranus together for change. For women, as myself, I've lived through feminine liberation, female liberation way, way, way back. And it feels that there's a new feeling coming through now, especially with the advent of these abhorrent laws going on in America and states such as Alabama about abortion. And, it's real retrograde stuff going back to the 70s. And the domination of the masculine that has brought many women to be reading, if you haven't read it or watched it, The Handmaid's Tale, dystopian novel. And it is just terrifying how this appears to be actually working in America at the moment, of attacking the feminine, masculine domination, the worst aspects of the masculine. Okay, so it looks on the surface this could be great full moon, but if you look underneath in the Scorpio world, you'll explore some of these other myths to be welcomed and embraced. On a lighter note, it's a really good time to look at Neptune, the voice of the sea, the voice of the mystic, and the healing possibilities of the ocean, and people are waking up to what's going on our planet. Thank you for watching. I'm Pam of HealingStars.com.